So now we have 12 minutes, and finally we will come to a topic which has not really hit the radar as strongly as it should. Emperor Xi Jinping now gets another minister. So I will fill in the background, and then Glenn will give you some quick commentary. Chinese President Xi Jinping has dismissed Defense Minister Li Shangfu. Remember, Qin Gang was removed as foreign minister in July. Also, note that Li and Qin were favorites of Xi. They were removed from their positions on the State Council, and they are part of a broader purge. In the middle of this year, I think maybe a bit earlier, General Li Yuchao and General Xu Zhongbo were dismissed too. They were the two senior-most commanders of the rocket force, which controls China's nuclear and conventional missiles. Li Yuchao had been put in charge only last year. Now, there was another change. Major General Cheng Dongfang was the president of the People's Liberation Army Military Court. And he was dismissed just 8 months in the job. No reason was given. And Cheng was a high flyer. He had been a spokesman of China's military garrison in Hong Kong, which has been in the news. So if you look at these characters, all of them were high flyers. All of them were favorites of Xi. Li Shangfu is an aerospace engineer. He began his career at a satellite and rocket launch center, which Glenn will tell you is extremely important for China's geopolitical and military aims. Li rose to be a general. He had a smooth ascent through the ranks of the military and the Chinese political elite before his sudden fall. Like Qin, Li was a favorite of Xi. Now, in 2018, Li headed the equipment development arm of the military. The US sanctioned him over Chinese purchases of Russian combat aircraft and arms. He didn't meet Lloyd Austin, his US counterpart, at a Singapore Defense Summit earlier this year, and Li has not been seen in public since 29 August. Now, when it comes to Qin, the former foreign minister, now rumors are emerging that he was too flashy, he was indiscreet, he had numerous liaisons, in particular with one lady with whom he had an illegitimate child. And she is an old-fashioned disciplinarian, and she decided that this was too improper and Qin was too embarrassing. We don't know why Li lost his place. Of course, some people may who have classified information, we don't. But the more important thing to my mind is that favorites are regularly falling from grace. No one is safe in Xi's medieval court. Zongnanhai, which is, of course, the Chinese Communist Party's headquarters, and oppositely, it is a former imperial garden located adjacent to the Forbidden Palace in Beijing. It is now full of intrigue, and Mao-style purges are back. So what seems to me is that Xi is unable, and he said so himself. In fact, let me quote his own words. He said that the ability to groom talented officials largely determines the rise and fall, as well as survival or demise of political parties and countries. So if we hold Xi to his own words, he's failing. He seems to be promoting people right to the top and then axing, them summarily. It's as if he's the Queen in Alice in Wonderland, and he says, off with their heads. And this means that whilst the dysfunction in the US is in public sight, there has to be something going on under the surface in China. Zongnanhai is not as stable as it seems. Over to you, Glenn.
Well, I think my sense, and none of us, as you say, can know unless intelligence services are privy to things that we don't know. is my sense is that China is creating, or meaning Xi Jinping is creating for himself and for China a progressively similar dilemma, profoundly different as it is, to the dilemma that the Netanyahu government has created for Israel and that the Hamas and Palestinians have created for the Palestinians, respectively, which is there's no way out from the framework as they define it. The structures that they have built and in which they believe don't provide for any door to a better future. Similarly, Xi doesn't trust anyone. It's a totalitarian, non-democratic regime in which institutions are manipulated by powerful leaders, by him. And if the leader cannot trust the institutions, which will have some sort of impartial or more impartial system of choosing influential individuals to run the rocket forces or the highway department or whatever it is, if you cannot rely on the institutions and you can only trust the people who are loyal to you, then the institutions will fail and it all comes down to the individuals. But
I mean,
you can
even just quickly, even if you rely only on individuals who are loyal to you, the point is that suddenly you axe them. So loyalty is no guarantee. Loyalty doesn't give you job security. So that's
right.
The fundamentally unstable element in Xi's regime. He's not like an old-fashioned emperor who trusts his finance minister to go reform the tax system. It's like, okay, you may be finance minister, but you may be off in 3 months, 6 months.
I think I agree up till there. I think it is, the Middle Kingdom has returned, but that's the Chinese version of a totalitarian monarchical state in which institutions really are eviscerated from their power. The point of a democracy is to disperse power and to have non-human, impartial procedures to adjudicate and to select and to administer, because that can be more fair, and the caprice of an individual is tempered, at least. Xi has created a system where that's progressively not true. I don't think this means that it makes the regime more brittle, it makes his rule more brittle and his position sort of desperate. But it doesn't mean that China is going to struggle through a famine from the Cultural Revolution at all.
That was the great leap forward.
Society.
That was a great leap forward. The Cultural Revolution caused chaos. And yeah.
Okay. But I think it shows a malaise from our perspective, from Xi's necessary series of steps, but a malaise in the system that he has viscerally worked to create. He although the son of one of Mao's lieutenants, Mao himself, despite his efforts to suppress Confucianism, was profoundly conservative culturally and institutionally in many ways. And I find that that's what this seems to imply or indicate, rather.
And lest we forget, Xi's father was disgraced. He was a disgraced Maoist. And it seems almost that and Xi suffered during the Cultural Revolution himself. He was spacked off to a remote area. And so it seems that the pendulum has swung back from the reformist spirit of Deng back to Maoism. And Xi Jinping thought is now part of the Chinese constitution. Xi is all-powerful. This does not mean that the CCP is going to fall tomorrow, but it certainly means that the CCP is weakening. And until reformists like Deng come to power, I think it will weaken. The personality cult of Xi is going to fritter away the gains of Deng. And those gains we can see are going in the economic realm, they are going in the realm of individual rights, they are going in the realm of foreign policy. The wolf warrior diplomacy hasn't served China very well. China's neighbors are alarmed. China's neighbors are looking to the US, even though the US is in disarray, but they are still preferring a US in disarray to China. Look at what's happening in the South China Sea, for instance, even the East China Sea. So China, under Xi Jinping, is frittering away the gains it has made since 1978, when Deng dispensed with hardline Maoism, opened doors to the market economy, and came up with this famous line, "It doesn't matter if a cat is black or white as long as it catches mice." So pragmatism is out, personalized centralization is in, ideology is back. And that ideology, ironically, is not communism, because communism is dead. It's a lie. Everyone knows that. And so what has come in place is this mishmash of cliches: global security initiative, global civilization initiative, global development initiative, Belt and Road initiative, and this mealy-mouthed word soup. And in reality, what it is really Xi Jinping's imperial rule and control over everything.
I'll just add one final comment from me. What this also implies, this being a system where you only serve the master and the master will remove you if there is any problem, is that, as I did say, the institutions are weakened, but it also means that truth and the efficiency of the state decline. Because if you are the head of the rocket forces, which is head of the spy balloon program, and you haven't informed Xi, as was the case, that you're sending balloons over continental United States, and then one of them is detected and blown up someplace, there's no alternative but to eliminate the general in charge, because the institutions have every incentive, and the leaders of them, to provide what the leader wants to hear rather than what is the case. That dynamic is far more powerful in a personal allegiance system that Xi has reinstituted, which leads to increasing inefficiencies in government.
So, on that note, the emperor has no clothes. We've come to the end of our time here. It's 1 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you very much for all of you from around the world for joining us. We will see you next month.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.